Hey, good morning. Happy Sunday, everybody. It's me, Quarterdeck Arcade. First name Pete, if you want to go by that. It's a chilly Sunday here in Wisconsin. Actually, it's a very cold Sunday here in Wisconsin. And we're surviving, but we missed all that snow from last week. All the people down south of us, like the middle of Indiana and through Illinois and Ohio, those folks got hit pretty good. But we got none of that. So we're expecting like a brushing of snow later today. Nothing major. Might not even be worth shoveling. We'll see. But it's Sunday. I took a couple of weeks off. Actually, I took last weekend off. Wasn't feeling very good. And as you all who have been watching me for some time now know, I've made a vow to both myself and to you, the viewers, that I would not stream on days that I wasn't feeling well, because it's not good for me, and it definitely wouldn't wind up being a good stream for you. So anyway, a lot happened since I last streamed, and we might touch on some of that. I'm not totally up to speed on everything. There's one thing that I caught. I caught all of the stuff from CES about the iconic arcade, and we can talk about that a little bit. I have my thoughts and opinions. I'm sure you guys do as well. But the Quarterdeck Arcade is at a kind of like a, what do we want to call it? A freeze right now, a purchase freeze. Now, when I say that, that means I'm not buying like any more arcade one-ups for now. And I'm not buying any at-game stuff like the 4KP, which is on my radar. I'm on a moratorium right now. I want to take a breather, and then revisit what I'm going to do next. So for now, what I'm doing is I'm allowing myself to focus on the Build-A-Cades, new technology like the Viper, the GRS Viper board, and just having a little fun with that. So today, the bottom half of the stream, we'll get into building a live build of the GRS Build-A-Cade. Now, you guys, there should be a poll running. Let me look. It should be up there. Yep, we got 4 votes already. So there's a choice. You have a choice. I have 2 artwork packages in for the Build-A-Cade. I have the Frogger and I have Robotron 2084. So we'll do the one that wins the poll. So if you haven't seen the poll in the chat, please go ahead and do that. Also, if you haven't liked this stream, please do that as well. And if you haven't subscribed, also hit the subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. So what's happened? My goodness. A few things have happened. Number one on my list is the fact that my girlfriend went through some shoulder surgery this past week. And she's doing good. She's recovering nicely. She's stiff and sore and not moving a lot. And that's, got her a little perturbed, but her pain is well managed. And so things are progressing really nice. The surgeon came out and talked to me after the surgery and basically said they didn't have to do a full rotator cuff repair, but they did have to move her biceps tendon, and that's the big thing that was probably causing her pain anyway since last May. So she's gotten taken care of, and she's actually upstairs now. She's off of work now, obviously, for a couple of months as she recuperates. So she's upstairs now watching her shows on Hulu. So hopefully the stream doesn't break, because I've never had a simultaneous person in the house streaming while I'm trying to do this. So you guys got to let me know if stuff becomes choppy or anything, and we'll see what we can do from there. As I said, I'm on a moratorium, but I will say that you all know about Synergy. You've heard about Synergy through PD7, his videos. You've heard about him through me. I've been after Synergy for quite some time for 2 units that they've had in stock for the last year. They have had a Yoga Flame, Street Fighter Yoga Flame, and they've had a Pac-Mania that are not new in box. They are open box. They are repacks. In other words, somebody bought these, took them apart, took them out of the box, and decided, nope, not doing this, and put them back in the box, taped them up, and shipped them back to wherever they bought them. And then they wound up at Synergy. So these 2 things have been sitting at Synergy since the last round of Christmas returns, which was January 2024. And so every once in a while I contact Synergy via Facebook Messenger, and I say, look, and I send them a picture of the items on their floor, and I say, you guys have had these things for several months, and I make an offer, which I think is a fair offer for what they're trying to sell. And they counter with a ridiculous amount. Well, they first countered with a ridiculous amount, and I'm like, that's I could go get a brand new one for the same price. So what they're basically doing is, in pricing these things now, they're onto us. Those of us that were getting them for like 150 and stuff before, they're onto us now. So they're basically going to Best Buy, seeing what the current price is, and maybe knocking $25 to $50 off of the retail price. And that's just not acceptable, not in these 2 cases. So here, I'll show you. I got some pictures. Let me share. So, okay, share. Window, boom, share. Okay. So, where did my window go? Bring it over here. Okay. So, right here is the Street Fighter Yoga Flame. And then right here is the Pac-Mania. Now you can't see it because you can see what they're asking for these things. They're asking on the floor $350 for either one. And if you were to look at the back of these, you can notice the seals broken on them. And if you kind of look in the box, and I actually opened up this Yoga Flame at one point and looked inside, and I'm like, oh, this is a terrible repack. And I pointed that out to the guy. He doesn't care. So I made a fair offer for both of these combined. They countered. I said, I'm not paying that. And he says, okay, fine. Just touch base with us in a month and we'll go from there. So a month passed, actually 2 months passed. After Christmas, I went up and I saw they were still there. And I said to them, hey, I actually increased my offer by about $25 for both of them. So I increased the offer for both of them. And I told them if that wasn't acceptable, I'll give them, I'll make an offer on of this amount for just the Yoga Flame, which I thought was a fair amount for an open box repack of a Yoga Flame. And he got back to me in a couple of days after his boss came back in, and he said, well, we're not going to let the Yoga Flame go for less than this. And I said, I'm out. You know, I'm not paying premium price for either one of these in the state that they're in. So they're still there at Synergy as far as I know. Other pictures I took, and you saw PD7's video. He did one last week at Synergy. The NFL Blitz is no longer there, but it had some nicks on the riser here that and along the side of the cabinet here that I didn't really like. So what I have considered, or what I have made. By the way, Synergy labeled all of these with $350 labels. So they wanted $350 for this 12-in-1 asteroid centipede shark fin. They wanted $350 for that. And I will tell you that the control panel on this is horrible. The A button over here, you can barely press it down. There's so much dust or gook or whatever in it. The other buttons are not as reactive either. And you can, when you spin this trackball, it's grainy because something got into this control panel, and it's just horrible. So there's no way I wouldn't pay $125 for this. There's no way somebody should be paying $350. Now, if somebody does walk in off the street, pay them $350. First of all, that's on him. But second of all, kudos to them for being able to get $350 out of it, because it's not worth that. But that's still there. The NFL Blitz is gone as of PD7's video. So is this Pac-Man Legacy. That is now gone. Again, $350, which I thought was ridiculous. The Mortal Kombat 2 Deluxe, maybe $350 is fine for that. Looked in fairly good shape. There's a little bit of stuff going on here on the kick plate. These are all display models. Like PD7 said in his video, they're all display models, I'm guessing from Best Buy. Another Mortal Kombat. This one looked better than the one up front. So if I were to buy one from them, it would be this one. But I wouldn't pay. I wouldn't go any higher than $300 for that. So that Buck Hunter is still there with a missing gun. They also have a Pac-Man Deluxe and another, and this is that other Mortal Kombat that had some kick plate damage. Or no, that's another one. And they also have this head-to-head, which has been there for like over a year. They're not getting what they're asking for this. They're just not. Close-up view of the damage on the riser. It just looked yucky to me. I wouldn't pay $350 for that. No. Close-up of the control panel. You've got damage here. You know, artwork wear and tear on here. These buttons were terrible. The trackball was terrible. I didn't really test out the D and E buttons, but I went to start Lunar Lander on this thing, and I couldn't get it to start because I couldn't make any contact with the A button. It just wouldn't go down and make contact, you know, complete the circuit to send a signal to start the game. So just horrible. Now these are all obviously display models, and so they haven't gotten their Christmas return pallets in yet. So I'm guessing by the end of January, in a couple of weeks or so, I'll make another stop at Synergy. So will Phil probably. And we'll see what they got, if they've got any new inboxes that are plain returns, and then see if I can't get a deal out of any of those. But right now, like I said, moratorium. I took my shot with Synergy again, didn't work. So anyway, it is what it is, you know. Talked about the gal. She's doing good. Yeah, I've been off for a few days taking care of her, just make sure she gets what she needs. But the only new things I've received here, let me take a anyway. I did receive, you probably saw my community post. I received more Build-A-Cades. I took advantage of the last day of the 50% off sale on the Build-A-Cades, and I bought 3 more. That brings my total Build-A-Cade count to 10, 6 of which are not built. One of them will be built today. So what I'm waiting on for those, I have to buy 2 more Raspberry Pis or Vipers, depending on which way I decide to go. I do have a Viper board on order, a Viper Build-A-Cade Viper kit coming from Glenn in GRS. Should be here this week sometime, and that might be next week's show. We might be going over the Build-A-Cade with the Viper board kit instead of the Raspberry Pi. So yeah, I'm having fun with the Build-A-Cades. I'm nerdy like that. I like the artwork that are on them. Some people complain about the wrong form factor. The form factor that he puts out for the Build-A-Cades is good enough for me. So I will say that. The artwork is good. I get my artwork from Arcade Graphics. I have 3 pieces of artwork: Donkey Kong Jr., and Popeye. And with the Nintendo piece to add on, coming from Joe Zabo, but that was 3 months ago that I ordered that. So, Joe, I doubt you're listening to this stream. I'm waiting, man. I sent him an email. He never responded. So, I don't know. I'm to the point now where I'm just going to find other sources because I don't want to wait for this stuff. I want to get it built. And I've said it before in my past live builds of these things. It's easier to put the artwork on when it's in pieces, when you're putting it together. It's harder to put the artwork on after you've put it together. It's not impossible. You can do it. It's just harder. So it's better to do it when you're building it. And I'm not, if I'm going to have to sit for another few months on some of these Build-A-Cades, and then by that time, Glenn's going to come out with Build-A-Cade 2.0. So who knows? So I'm waiting on some bits and pieces for the Build-A-Cades, and that's about it. So along those lines, now that I mentioned the Viper board, it runs Arcade on it, R-Cade. And so this week I thought, on some of my days off, I thought, well, let me play with it for a little bit. So I will bring up this photo here. So yeah, there's the arcade load screen. And this is actually my Legends Ultimate Mini. So I downloaded Legends Unchained and went through that install, and been putzing with it. This control panel needs to be replaced. It's got some issues, but for what I was doing, which was just playing with the interface, it was fine. But so I'm playing with Arcade. I may download another USB image to use on my Legends Ultimate down here in the arcade. So that's one thing I've been playing with. I'm pretty impressed with it so far. I have been experimenting with the NetPlay feature on Arcade. Well, NetPlay is actually a part of RetroArch emulation station. And so I've been kind of putzing around with that, testing out my, I had to open a port in my firewall for NetPlay to work, got that done. So I got it to the point where I had my screen name as QD Arcade, and I had, and I could see myself in the broadcast list, the lobby, LibRetro lobby, which is what they use to let people find each other on NetPlay. So what I would really love to test is get someone else on Robotron, see if Robotron works over NetPlay. I got to see if there's because NetPlay only works, the MAME emulator core, you cannot use. There might be some games on the MAME emulator core that you can use on NetPlay, but for the most part, you got to use the games off of FB Neo, that core, and I loaded Moon Patrol, and that was working in my testing. So I want to get another arcade system running, whether that be my Legends Ultimate behind me or the Viper board itself when it comes in. But I want to hold off on building the Viper for like another show, so y'all get to see a Build-A-Cade get built without a Raspberry Pi. So we'll see. Stop sharing. Do I have anything else to show you? Well, I showed you that. I talked about that. I don't need to show you. Nothing else worth going through. What I try to do when I do show prep for this thing, I try to go through my Google Photos and see what interesting things happened or what I did in the arcade, and create some slideshows or whatever for the show. And nothing really significant this week. I got the itch to do the arcade shuffle, but no, I'm going to hold off on doing that for a while. Okay, so I haven't given shout outs in the chat. I'm going to put my glasses on because I'm blind. My eyesight's getting worse. All right, Ted Adam Green is here. Welcome, Ted. Good to see you. Hockey Town is here. Yeah, the Gals recovery is going really well. It really is. Gallagher guy's here. Hey, Gallagher guy, I was watching your stream with Glenn from Friday night. Haven't finished it, but I will say that blue I pronounce it curacao. I know you struggled with the pronunciation of it, but curacao, I believe, because when I got married in like 1999, we got married in St. Thomas, and we took a cruise there, so on Royal Caribbean, and they had a drink there called Blue Monday, which is very similar to what you made on the show on Friday night. And I love that drink. I'm not a drinker. I don't drink socially, really, and I don't keep alcohol in the house. But I'll have one every now and then, depending on the circumstance. But back then, I was drinking more than I do now, and that Blue Monday was just awesome. I loved it. So your drink looked delicious from that show. So I'll finish up that show probably later. Stock Jock's here. Welcome, Stock Jock. Good to see you. Yeah, I know where your vote's going. Let's look at the poll. Okay, 8 votes so far. So if you there's 11 people watching. If you haven't voted in the poll in the chat, please do so. What do you want to see me build later on? I got to tell you right now, it's 88% Robotron and 12% Frogger. So you Frogger folks, if you want to see that built, you got to step up the game. So let's see. Let's talk about this for a second. I'll use this segment to give my thoughts. First of all, kudos Media 1UP for bringing something to the community that's been starving for something new for 2 years, 1 year, quite some time anyway. Am I excited about this? No. I'm not a fighter guy in general. I only had the Yoga Flame because I love the artwork. I thought it looked cool. I thought it looked cool in my arcade, so I got it. And I got it at a significant discount. That's why I'm not paying the premium price to Synergy to get that open box Yoga Flame. I still want it. It's moddable. I'd love to have it because I love that artwork. But I'm not paying through the nose for it. So having said that, no, I'm not a big Street Fighter guy. More power to, I understand why John went with this. John's a fighter guy. And so he's excited about bringing this to the community. It's a bigger cabinet. It's got a Raspberry 5 Pi in it. I'm not excited. So those two things alone, a bigger cabinet and Raspberry Pi 5, are major selling points for me. But I'm not a big fan of the IP. So if this were, let's say if this were, oh, we'll put it out there, a Gorf skinned cabinet with a Raspberry 5 Pi, day one purchase for me. If it had that true body style and artwork, form factor for a Gorf, day one buy. If we're a Robotron with a Raspberry 5 Pi with the Robotron artwork, day one purchase. But no, I'm not a Street Fighter fan. I'm not getting this. I have my thoughts on it. The marquees, well, the Alpha looked okay, but the Street Fighter 2 version of the marquee looked very washed out. So hopefully he'll fix that. Which in watching some of the streams, I think they're going to fix that. The double power buttons is a concern. Not for me, because I know enough to know which button to press first and which button not to press first in shutting down. But there are ways. So I will show you. So I've shown this on my arcade tour, I think. But here's my Miss Pac-Man Countercade, and that's got a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus in it. So that and that only uses one power button, and there's a lit marquee in that thing. So there's a way, and I didn't research, I didn't do go back, because this was 3 years ago when I made this Miss Pac-Man. There is a script that you can use so that when the power button, the Arcade 1-Up power button is hit, it sends a signal to the Raspberry Pi to shut down normally first, so you don't get any file system corruption, and then it removes the power from the machine itself. So it's been a while since I did that, but I know that way exists, and I don't know if it works on a Raspberry 5 Pi or not, but it works on a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, and it's just a little script that you insert into the operating system that when it receives that shutdown signal, it takes action to shut down the Raspberry Pi first, and then the rest of the components. So that's a concern. Those two power buttons on the box. Hopefully they'll refine that, get it down to one. I'm concerned about them using standard Arcade 1-Up buttons. I think the community deserves improved buttons and sticks. What else am I concerned about? There was something else. The fact that we didn't see a user interface. I realize they haven't gotten that far yet, but sight unseen, I want to know. Well, I want to know two things: the user interface. Is this thing going to have like net play or online play? You know, how are you going to work that out in the user interface? Because what I've seen with net play so far is it's kind of cumbersome. It is. So are they going to lean on net play for playing the marquee games on the cabinets? We need more information on that. So I need more info before I decide on one of these cabinets. I'm going to wait to actually buy one, and I'm going to wait to see what his next skin is. Because for me, it's all about artwork and nostalgia. As you know, games are a part of it, sure. But when I look at the Street Fighter cabinets, no, I don't have any nostalgia for the games. So if anything, I'm going to hold out for that Yoga Flame at Synergy, but we'll see. Those are my thoughts. So to answer your question, Galaga Guy, no, I'm not. Let's see. 53. 53 is like, you know, when we hit 53, we're like, man, summer's already here. Oh, I kid. My 50 degree is my running outside threshold. So if it hits 50 or below 50, I'm in the gym on the treadmill. So I don't like winter running outside. I do it occasionally. Like I do a snow run, like when it's like blizzarding outside, I'll go for a run because if you've ever been outside during a snowstorm, it gets really quiet. You know, all of the ambient sounds are kind of deafened through the snow falling, and so it's just real peaceful and quiet. So when I go for those runs, I usually don't take music with me, and I'll just run and enjoy the silence. So, um, yeah, yeah. You guys in the midsection of the country, you got hammered pretty good. So I have a snowblower too, but because I'm big into physical fitness, I tend to just use a shovel because I get a good workout doing that. I touched on this earlier, Hockey Town. Joe Zabel, man, it's been 3 months. I realize there are people out there that have waited 8, 9 months for stuff from him, and uh, I don't know. I just can't endorse people ordering from him, you know, with the delays that he has. I realize he does quality work. He does. I have some of his work um, here in the Quarterdeck Arcade, but I just don't know what's going on with the guy. Maybe he needs to hire some people to help him. I don't know. It just seems to take quite a bit of time to from data purchase to actually get something from him. So no, I've not gotten all my Nintendo stuff. If I had another source for that stuff, I'd cancel my order with Zabel and go with them. So if somebody else did the Nintendo piece for the Build-A-Cade and the artwork, I would switch to them. Arcade Graphics is the vendor that I've been using for the current Build-A-Cades. He does a great job. His store is on eBay, I believe, and I think I put a link up there last week to him. So, or the last show that I did, I put up a link. But no, I've not gotten my. I did email Joe, not this past week, but the week before. Never responded to me. I could check that real quick just to make sure. Yeah, I wrote him on January 7th, so 5 days ago. And all I got was an automated response, like almost immediately, saying he's available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And emails outside these hours will be replied next business day. Well, guess what? Next business day came and went, and nothing. So I'm kind of thinking at this point it's who you know. I mean, look at Glenn. Glenn's a huge person in the community, and he's already got parts, and he's a partner with Joe, so he's already got his Nintendo GRS Build-A-Cades built. So obviously he got Joe to send him those pieces fairly quickly. I don't know. I mean, I realize I'm just a low life 250 subscriber YouTuber, but it shouldn't matter, right? I mean, you're a customer. You paid. You should get your stuff expeditiously. I understand these guys are doing it out of their garages, some of them, and so I can appreciate a month long or even a 2 month long delay, but now we're on 3 months. So, Joe, if you're listening, if you see this, I love you, man. I love your artwork, but man, come on, I know I sound like disappointed. I am a little bit. So let me guess. You put in a ton of votes on alt accounts, right? Actually, it's A few more percentage points went to Frogger. So vote in that poll, guys. Which one you want to see me do? It'd be kind of neat to see Frogger make a comeback. I am a big Robotron fan, and Stockjack knows that. So thank you, Gallagher guy. You know, she's got a road ahead, you know, to rehab because she's a lifter. So she does barbell lifting. So an injury like this, it hurts. So not only is she upset and in discomfort from the actual surgery, she's depressed from not being able to do the things that she loves doing, and lifting is one of them. So trying to nurse both from both sides there. Yesterday I had a bad day, and I crossed a line. Let's put it that way. I crossed a line. You folks that are married or have girlfriends, you know what that what crossing a line is. And I crossed the line with her, and I thought I was joking. I thought I was being funny, and it wasn't. So lesson learned. um, I where I thought I'd make her laugh, it actually upset her. So, um, profuse apologies were offered and hopefully accepted, but she's fine. I mean, she's upstairs. She hates being sidelined and on the couch all the time. She likes to move and be active, and it's just hard right now with her arm in a sling. Let's see. I believe it. Those rent-a-centers are no joke. I believe it. And these folks at Synergy just don't have a clue. They're not in the hobby. They like putting them in their store, but you have to weigh how much these things are going for on marketplace versus the condition of the cabinet itself, the fact that it's been unsealed or opened. That's always a concern. So these people that try to make these cabs like almost full price when they're obviously in terrible condition, it blows my mind. No common sense whatsoever. It definitely tells me they know nothing about the hobby right now. Yeah, I believe it. Where they might be coming from is they probably maybe they're aware of the stock, it being out of stock most places, and maybe they're trying to capitalize on the fact that it's now off the market. And I can't find it here locally. I've gone to like 3 Costco's, and not that I want it, but I'm just curious to see if it was still locally available. I've been to 3 Costco's here locally in the Milwaukee area, and there isn't one. There isn't even the Miss Pac-Man Galaga pub table, which is the one I really would have gotten had they still had it. Yeah, Tron. Yeah, I get it. I want another Tron cab just so I can turn it into a Gorf. If I can find a non-working Tron cab on Marketplace, I would definitely scoop one up and reskin it. That would be a project for me. Prince Vinny is here. Good to see you. Yeah, I think you're talking about that Atari 12-in-1 at Synergy. Yep, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. If it were 125, I might seriously consider picking it up and redoing the control panel, just to have that just to have Lunar Lander in my collection. Now I could play Lunar Lander somewhere else, and as we all saw on Gallagher Guy 88's stream on Friday night, Glenn pretty much announced that he's coming out with the thruster, and so I'll definitely be a day one purchase for that when he makes it available. Cobat, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not familiar with that term. This is true. As witnessed by the amount of arcade one-ups locally in Facebook Marketplace that still haven't sold after months, because people are trying to sell them like brand new prices. Whenever I've sold a cab, I've always tried to, I've taken a loss on them, but I take into account the fact that they are what they are. Okay, so I still try to make money off of them, but I still try to make it sweet enough that somebody's going to want to buy them. So, and it turns out most of my cabs that I had to sell earlier or in 2024 were bought by one person, and he sold them to bed and breakfasts. So, well, he mods them first, and then he sells them to bed and breakfasts. Oh, that Atari was so abused. Oh, now his artwork might be a little better than the artwork you're going to see here, assuming Robotron wins the contest, the poll. The artwork the Robotron artwork I have is from Arcade Graphics, so takes a week from order to get here. I realize, Joe Zabel is great at what he does. He is, but I just don't want to wait that long. I don't. Does anybody? No. So, Stock Shock, I have a feeling you're going to be waiting a while. Yeah. And I tried to be very diplomatic. Here, I'll read you my my email. Hey, Joe, just touching base. It's been a few months since this order, and I'm wondering if I can get a status update. I'd like to get these GRS Build-A-Cades built. I know you are a busy man, but if you could let me know when I could expect this order, I'd appreciate it. Thanks. Now, was that email bad? Would I have pissed him off by it? I don't know, but he never responded to it. So. Hey, Zero, good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, his turnaround is pitiful. Thor KC is here. Welcome. Thanks for joining the show. Yeah. I do if I do the arcade shuffle again, it's going to be to fill this whole wall with arcades, move this table with the Build-A-Cades to this side of the room again, and put all my 80s stuff that's on this side now against the wall over there. But part of that would be better wire management, cable management, because if you look behind my arcades, it's kind of a mess. And so me being a network administrator, I know how important cable management is. And with these, when I come home, I'm just pretty much lazy. So I throw the cables and hook them up. And so it gets to be a spaghetti mess after a while. So I would love to clean that up. Because not only do I have the Arcade 1-Up power, I have LED USBs running behind there, sometimes two of them, depending on the cab. And so the arcade shuffle is definitely in my future. Maybe I'll actually make that a live stream so you guys can laugh at me while I do it. But we'll see. I do have some days off coming. I'm off Martin Luther King Day, 20th, and I'm off the 21st to handle a doctor's appointment with a follow-up appointment with my gal. So. Yep. Yeah. For me, it's about the artwork. Does it look good in my arcade? I love. People called it the Pizza Hut, or Pizza the Hut cab, and I laughed, but you know what? I love that artwork for me. And this whole hobby is about what makes you happy, right? Am I right? I mean, what I have here now in my arcade makes me happy. That Space Invaders T2 over there makes me extremely happy. And I've gotten comments from people that said, why did you put Space Invaders art on that form factor? Eh, because it made me happy. I like that artwork. That's a beautiful cab. So it's all about what makes you happy in this hobby. Do what makes you happy. If you want to buy one of those iconic arcade / John D Street Fighter cabs, more power to you. More power to you. If it makes you happy. All right, let's see. Let's see. Street Fighter XXL will be a great platform for fighting cabs and arcade esports. Just not a neat fighter like that, so it's not in the. But yeah, same thing. Not a fighter guy. I will play a good beat 'em up any day of the week. And I do have Mortal Kombat on my Joust, so I occasionally dip my toe in there, but get my ass kicked all the time. Yeah, I agree. So hopefully he listens and does something for us 80s retro guys. Throws us a bone. Again, I get why he went with what he went. So can't fault him for that. True. I would like to see a better way of handling net play. It's kind of cumbersome. What that would be, I don't know. Hey, Glenn, good to see you, man. I'm just making my way through the chat here, and it's good to see you. I'm glad you stopped by. I was watching Gallagher Guy 88 stream with you while I was working out this morning, and great show. But you're right. It's my Cade. So I'm having a blast. You see them over my shoulder there. They're right behind me. I love each and every one of them. Let's see. I have not done that. I probably should. But the other thing is he'd have to 3D print the hood for to make it a Nintendo cab. Unless there's another, if you guys know of another source for the hood for the Nintendo cab, I'd love to know, because if I can get it quicker from them than Joe Zavo, that'd be great. Awesome. T Prez, welcome. I don't know, man. Just seems that being the case, it just kind of seems like what he's in the mood to do in any particular order. I would like to know where I'm at in the queue. That's for sure. Glenn, I really appreciate that. I really do. I mean, I emailed him, didn't get an email, so I just don't want to sit on these Build-A-Cades for too long. If I'm, going to do something with them, I'll just go to Arcade Graphics and get that artwork. But I'd rather build these Nintendo cabs. I have those 3 Nintendo cabs in mind, and I want to get started on those. Hey, Moat, good to see you, man. Welcome. And here we go. Mike Hawk Hertz. Welcome. 8 months for a Zabo's order. Yeah. See, I've heard those stories. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with this statement. I really do. as I said, I've got some of his work in the arcade right now. He's probably the best at what he does, and just the guy needs help. He needs help. Yeah, so you're kind of in the same boat as I am right now. Found another company to get outrun art. Yeah. And a driving cab is on my radar for one of these Build-A-Cades that I have left. Arcade Graphics only does one, and that's it's not out. Maybe it is Outrun. I have to look. Yeah, they are. They're on eBay. You might be thinking of Graphics Arcade, kind of a Graphics Arcade. I think that's the guy that takes breaks. Adrian is the guy's name. He takes breaks for months on end, closes his shop, and then comes back when he feels like doing stuff. But Graphics Arcade or Arcade Graphics, that guy turns around in a week. So right now I'm getting all my artwork from him. Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah. Well, I can understand if you're sick, you're sick. You're not going to obviously be producing anything. Like I understood Tulsa Arcades. That's another thing I got coming. Tulsa Arcades. JC over there. I had ordered when y'all remember when I got the Joust back here in the arcade, but I love his riser panel artwork and his lit riser panels. And so I ordered another one because I had the Joust cabinet before and I had that. So I wanted to get it again. And so I ordered that, and JC had that fire. So JC had a fire, and it kind of set him back for a number of weeks. And so I understood that. I understand that. There are delays there, yeah, and I understood that delay. But it's coming this week, actually. So we may do next week. Either we'll do the Viper or we'll do. We might do both. I don't know, because the riser panel is like a 10-minute thing. So we might do that. Hey, I caught up with the chat. What do you know? Yeah, very reasonable guy. I mean, I believe his artwork is like $30 a pop. Very reasonable. I love what he does. So, okay, checking the poll. Robotron's winning with 62% to 38. If you haven't voted in the poll, I'm going to keep the poll open for another couple of minutes. We'll go to the 55-minute mark, and then I'll close the poll. Right now, Robotron's winning, though. Okay, so let me look at my show notes. I'm gonna get a drink. Okay, guys, got 20 seconds to answer the poll, and then I'm gonna close it. I didn't turn my black lights on today. I was kind of in a rush. It's been a busy morning, doing things for the gal and doing laundry and Also had to pay the bills. Good news on that front. Everything you see behind me is paid for. But I still got a moratorium because, all right, closing the poll. So the winner chicken dinner. After 13 votes, Robotron wins with 61% of the vote, and Frogger loses with 38%. So Frogger will probably be my Vipercade. So my arcade Vipercade. Because I don't have any other artwork in house. I'm going to go through Arcade Graphics websites and get my third and final piece of artwork, because I can't order any more, because the 3 Build-A-Cades I have after that will be all the Joe Zabo artwork and Nintendo cabinets. So I realize doing these live streams might get a little boring after a while, building these Build-A-Cades, but it's something for me to do. And if I'm going to be doing it, why can't I just share it with you guys? You guys can watch. As each one progresses, I get better and quicker at it. So that's what I'm finding anyway. All right. Well, let's get to it then. Hey, I've flapped my gums enough, eh? Sound like I'm from Canada, eh? Okay. One of my favorite movies. You guys as old as I am will know this movie, Strange Brew. Bob and Doug McKenzie. Anybody remember them? Take Off to the Great White North. It's a beauty, eh? It's a beauty. No, Galaga guy. Here, I'll show you. Let's share out that screen. All right, so this is Arcade Graphics, the Arcade Graphics website. Yeah, so he doesn't have I'm guessing he doesn't have a website presence, but he is on eBay. This is eBay. And there's only 2 things. There's the GRS Build-A-Cade graphics, and then whatever this is. I have no idea what this is. But these are the only 2 things on his eBay shop. So if you go into the Build-A-Cade site, so I'll just scroll through them real quick so you guys can see them. But here's Defender. And when he prints these, you can see when he ships these to you, you're going to get templates, graphic templates for all of the available, except for the 6 button, I think. He doesn't have that in here. The 6 button is sold separately outside of that control panel kit that Glenn sells. So, but he sells a template, a graphics template for each type of control panel, other than that 6 button. So Defender, Arkanoid, Burger Time, Centipede, which I have already. And then you've got Crazy Climber, Crystal Castles, Dig Dug. He does have a Donkey Kong skin, but not in the Nintendo form factor. So if you just wanted to skin your Build-A-Cade with the Donkey Kong artwork, you can. And then this is the Frogger artwork that I got from him. And then Galaga, Joust, Karate Champ, which I have. I love that Karate Champ. He has a Dragon's Lair. Mappy, you Mappy fans. Marble Madness. Miss Pac-Man. I have the Miss Pac-Man artwork. Neo Geo. Some other Neo Geo skins. Pac-Man. Rampage. Time Pilot. I have this one. This is my latest build, the Time Pilot. I love that cabinet. Popeye. Again, not the Nintendo shaped GRS. So Qbert, Robotron, which we're going to do today. The Street Fighter Championship Edition. Space Invaders. Simpsons. Turtles. Smash TV for you Smash TV fans. Tempest. And then this is the one driving cab he has, which I'll probably get, the Outrun. So he does have Outrun. Superman. That's kind of cool. And Operation Wolf. So he has a lot of choices, and he's not selling the big 3/4 graphics apparently, but you can get it. You can get a GRS Build-A-Cade graphics from him. So good on you. Good on you. I might get the Defender too at some point, but I want to do a driving cab first. I'll probably get the Outrun artwork. Thanks, Zero. I realize these streams get ridiculously long after a while, but you know what? I'm not doing nothing. And if you folks aren't doing anything and you just want to watch along, great. I don't script my streams. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll write down ideas about what I want to talk about. But a lot of times I come in here on the seat of my pants and fire this up, which is very much today. I did do some prep. You know, I put up the table for the build. All right, so let's get to it. I've got my mic on. Let's unshare that. What do I want to do here? I'll close that. Minimize this. Minimize that. Let's see. I don't know if I want to do this view or not. I'll probably do just the cell phone view, just so you guys can see it. All right. Hey, good to see you, Danny. Welcome. Welcome. Let's switch mics. Testing 1, 2, 3. Looks like it's working. Yay, yay, yay. Okay. Get my lighting going here. And let's move the chair. I'm going to bring up the chat on my tablet here so I can read the chat while you guys are chatting. And again, Robotron won, so we're going to do the Robotron. Yeah, what I do, Galaga Guy, what I do with my art, because it does come in a roll from Arcade Graphics. But what I do is then I basically take the artwork down to the arcade here, and I set it on a table, and then I'll flatten it, and then I'll put a bunch of Build-A-Cades that I have on top of it, and then in a couple of days, it's flat. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do, I did not do this because I did the poll and I wanted you guys to decide which one you wanted me to do. And Robotron won. So he gave me the marquees together. The other thing, though, about arcade graphics that I've noticed is he doesn't cut them to the Build-A-Cade marquee, and so I wind up having to trim them, which is fine. I mean, I can do that, but it's just a pain. It's something I probably shouldn't have to deal with. But I'm going to cut these out to start. And again, doing the artwork beforehand, before you put the thing together is my recommendation. I try to get as close to the edge as possible, so when I wind up applying these, goes right on. Have I skinned a 3/4 cabinet before? Yes, I reskinned. I applied all the Space Invaders artwork from Buy Stuff Arcades to my T2 cabinet. That was a chore, and if you're going to do that, you really need a second person to help you with the side panels. That was a chore. I mean, it really was, but worth it in the end. And I had to wait because the front panel graphic for the Space Invaders did not match the T2 panel, and so they had to redo it. So that and the marquee, they didn't have the right marquee, so they redid both. All right, so that's the Robotron right side panel, or left side panel, however you're looking at it. Oh, I just thought of something. I didn't do the stupid image yet. Again, I came in here on the seat of my pants. So we'll get around that. I'll take the SD card out of one of the existing ones and a little bit of prep work on the artwork. Hey, Biggie D, welcome, man. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Yeah, Gallagher guy, I mean, it's a pain to have to cut these, but it's worth it in the end, I think. It's a little bit of an annoyance. We're supposed to get some snow today. I don't know if we're going to or not, because I thought it was going to be overnight, and I went to the gym this morning and no snow. So I don't know if it's going to snow later or not. I don't even know. It might be snowing now, as far as I know. We can certainly pull up my security cameras. was actually going to do that. I forgot. Call it the Quarterdeck cam or something. Can see what's going on the outside of the quarterdeck. It'd be really cool to pull up, when we're in a blinding snowstorm or something. And those cameras actually don't work when the temperature gets to like -20. Those cameras will actually shut down. And so I'll be without security cameras for. And people ask, why do you got security cameras? You're in such a secure neighborhood. 2 words, crazy X. And that's all I got to say about that. All right. So the side pieces are done. The rest of these I will not cut. So we'll leave that there. All right, let's get to it, eh? I have a feeling I'm going to have to trim this Robotron marquee. And when I get the marquee piece out of the box, we'll see. All right. I've gotten better at opening these things now. As I say that, I still can't slide this thing off. And people say, well, why don't you just rip it? I mean, you're not going to save it anyway. I don't know. I'm just kind of weird that way. There we go. All right, I'm going to kind of whip through this because I've done them. I've gone point by point in previous streams. And I just shook the camera. One thing I wanted to point out, since we're doing the Robotron, I'm going to need this control panels, but this is the panel pod that Glenn sells. It's a USB device, and it connects to one of the available USB ports on the back of the Build-A-Cade. As you can see here, I've got the dual joystick control panel in it, but it's very easy to take apart. Take off both of the sides. And then you just kind of gently take off the bottom there. And you want to pull the control panel off. There's 2 ports for the dual joystick. Or no, there's not. This is on there for the panel pod. We're not using that. So there's only 1 port for the dual. I got to make sure I don't bust that. There we go. There. So now I have my control panel that I'm going to use. I'm going to have to strip off that artwork though. So, but this is the panel pod. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces that you're working with there. And I'll just go ahead and pop the sides on just to keep this thing together. There. So I've removed the panel that I had in there for the panel pod. And you could put all of Glenn's GRS Build-A-Cade panel pods in here. it's kind of a neat little, it's got on the back here, it's got, I believe this is a button A, button B. I'm not sure what that button is. I don't have the documentation of this thing, but I kind of wanted to show it to you. For any one of those Build-A-Cades over there that I wanted to use a different control panel on, I could. If I have that control panel, I can just put it in this panel pod. So I'll set this aside. All right, so we've got our documentation. We've got our monitor. I'm going to do this quickly because you've all seen me do it before. I don't need to go step by step. We've got our packaged artwork, side panel. Here's our provided SD card, which I probably won't use because I've in previous streams, you can check out some of my first GRS builds for a step-by-step on how to get the OS going. I'm not going to do that today. I want to get through this unboxing as quickly as possible. Sorry, I got to adjust this camera. It's just in the... All right. It's kind of driving me nuts. All right, we've got our Build-A-Cade, additional Build-A-Cade artwork, which we're not going to use. Side panel, cable harness. This is our SD card extender, monitor frame. We've got our screws and then our DSI ribbon cable. This is the part that when I did my first one, I really got frustrated with. But now that I know how to do it, it's all good. Got our joystick toppers, another piece for the monitor assembly. Actually, this goes for the battery. We've got our coin door, marquee pieces. This is the standard control panel that comes with it. We're not going to use this because we're building a Robotron today. But this is just a single joystick, one A button, and one player start and 2 player start. Not going to use it, so it goes aside. We have our back panel here. Again, we have our SD card will go here. We've got our menu controller on the back here, button 1 and button 2, volume control, 2 USBs, power on, power off, your power input, which is USB-C, and then an HDMI cable, out cable. So that's our back panel. I'm going to move the artwork here since I'm not using it. Here we have our plastic bezel. Actually, plastic protector. Here's the marquee. This is a frame for the middle of the unit. Here's the top. Let's get this Roboton artwork. So let's look at the marquee. And so here's our marquee piece, and here's the Roboton artwork. Now, I can see I'm going to need to trim it. So, yeah, it's a pain. I don't really want to do that, but and because you got to get it as straight as possible. I'm trying to figure out, because the last time that happened, I just went by scissors and it wasn't the straightest. Extender cables for the Pi. HDMI extender cable. We have our base. We have our kick plate, where the coin door will go here. We have our lithium battery, or is this a lithium battery? It's a battery. It's a rechargeable battery. This goes in the base. And I believe that's it. Yeah, we've unboxed. All right, let's box this back up. I don't want to hit the camera. I'll stick the artwork in here. All right. I do have my Robotron running on my Legends Ultimate right now. It's in the back there. All right, so let's kind of spread our parts out a little bit more. A little bit more accessible. And again, the fine manual from Glenn. Kudos to everybody involved in this little product. I mean, I know that there was, you know, Glenn and obviously his company T-Sticks and I can't remember the name of the other company. Arcade Workshop. So designed by Arcade Workshop. All right, let's get to it. First thing we're going to do is the artwork. All right. A little bit of dust and stuff. So when I apply artwork, I do it in like, those of you that have done it will know the technique, because it's basically taping down the center, unpeeling and cutting the backing off, and then just applying it. So you basically have to, let me get my tape ready. Got to have the tape pieces ready. Stick them on my little camera stand. All right. So you have to get it lined up, and I try to get it as perfectly aligned as I can. Right there's pretty damn perfect. All right. Then you go do the other side. Tape the other side. All right. So now we've got the artwork taped down how we want it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to peel one side. The last one I built, the Time Pilot, I did just a time-lapse video of it. I might do that for the Frogger, but the problem with that is I'm using the Viper board, so that might turn out to be a live build as well. So, all right, so I've cut away the backing on the back, and then you just lay it down. You just lay it down, kind of going like you do with the 3/4 size artwork. You just rub it into place. And the good thing about the Build-A-Cade is the 1/6 scale is working with artwork is a lot easier than it is in the 3/4 size. And you just kind of smooth it down. Hockey Town, to answer your question, yes, I did. I did do. My image is a common image among any of the games lists. So I'll use the same image for a single stick, a same image for a twin stick. There's a menu option for dual joysticks, and the games that I have available on my image have the twin stick games. So okay, so we can peel. The key to it is you can on these images that I do is and I've shown this before, is you can have them boot up into the game, the marquee game. So I will change the SD card that I use in this build to boot straight into Robotron. All right, so once again, I've removed the boot tape and I've pulled up the artwork, and then I'm going to pull the backing off. And then you just lay it down and smooth from the opposite side. Just smooth it down. Oops. And don't be a Speedy Gonzalez when you do this, okay? And which I've kind of caught myself doing on a couple of occasions. Just be patient. Smooth it out. No air bubbles, nothing. All right. One side of the cab is done. Nice. All right. We'll set that aside and we'll do the other side now. Get all the dust bunnies off. We'll lay down the artwork. We'll get it aligned where we need it to go. Right there's good, I think. Okay. Same deal. Peel the backing on one side. I usually start from the bottom. Work my way to the top. So we'll peel back to the tape. By the way, I learned this from I can't remember his name. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I learned this technique from a particular YouTuber who was applying artwork to his Tron cabinet. Oh, it'll come to me. I'm bad with names. I'm horrible with names. Folks, if we meet in person, don't be offended by the fact I don't remember your name. I try to. A lot of you folks have YouTube names. Some of you don't. Over time, I've learned the real names of a lot of the YouTubers. But I'm terrible with names. That's just how I'm built. So a little exercise I like to do is when I'm watching a stream and there's a bunch of YouTubers on one stream, I'll go, okay, that's Brian, that's Matt. I'll do that little exercise just to make sure I remember their names, but 9 times out of 10 it doesn't happen. Packers are playing today. They're in their big playoff game with the Eagles. I think they're going to get trounced, but you know, call me a fair weather fan if you like. But the Eagles are just way too much better. Now the rumor is their quarterback has an issue. So does ours, really. But we'll see what happens. You know, our backup quarterbacks, even if they play, are pretty good too. So it's one thing you could say about Green Bay's quarterback system. Their backups are get the job done too. All right. There's a little smudge here. Oh, it's just tape gunk. All right. All right. Other side panel done. So I've got my side panel skinned. That's good. Danny, I never forgot your name. How can anybody forget the Quarterdeck, eh? All right, this piece is a little tricky. This is the kick plate piece. And again, it's easier to put this on disassembled than it is when it's assembled, because you now, when it's assembled, you have the coin door in place, and so it's a little harder to work around. And I'm going to stand up for this because I got to make sure I get this correct. All right, this little piece up top here is tricky. That's what's really tricky when you try to do it when it's built already. All right, so we have our kick plate piece done. All right, bezel. Now as I've gotten into these builds, some people put the bezel artwork on the plastic protector. I did that with my Miss Pac-Man, but I find I like to put the artwork underneath this, actually on the bezel. So there's no, I don't think there's a wrong way to go about it. I'm sure Glenn could chime in and say what he likes to do. I've seen people do it either way, but I actually like putting it underneath and actually on the actual bezel piece. So that's what we'll do. Again, it's a little tricky working with the flimsy pieces up top. All right. I think I got it. Oh. Nope, I got bubbles. Got to be really careful with this, with some of these pieces. Oh, still getting. There, I worked it out. All right, so got our monitor bezel piece done. I don't know, Zero. That would be a question for Glenn. I don't think Glenn's still in the chat, but he was here earlier. All right, and then the last, well, we have two things. We have the control panel, and then the, so this, we need to do that. So we have the top artwork on the kick plate. I forgot to do that. Oh, why did that looks terrible. That's better. So now our kick plate is done because we had to put this other artwork. So now the only thing we have to skin is the control panel. All right. So we have, now I put Glenn's, the artwork that comes with the Build-A-Cade on here already. So we're going to take off the old artwork. Yeah, I got to imagine the twin stick iArcade panel works similarly to how the Legends Ultimate does. Twin sticks on Legends Ultimate work great for Robotron. I just don't have the nails to get this artwork off. Yeah. Really? Really? There we go. All right, so we've gotten the control panel artwork off. Now we need our control panel art, which will be that one right there. And again, you got to kind of insert it over the buttons. There we go. And smooth it down. All right. And there she, well, let's put the, you normally don't do this until later, but I'll do it now. Put the toppers back on. Why am I not getting in there? There we go. There's our Robotron control panel, dual stick control panel. And then the fire button. Actually, this would be fire, this would be move. So, yeah. Awesome. So we've got our artwork done. Now we're ready to proceed into the build. You've all seen me do this. Most of you have. Some of you might not have, but you've all seen me go through one of these builds before. Oh, I did not do this. Shit. Okay, so I've got to get the marquee together. Oh, I butchered that. Shit. Well, we'll see. I'm going to have to move it higher so I don't get no light bleed. Completely butchered it. See, this is one piece that I wish Arcade Graphics would get right. All right. I'm going to go get my X-Acto knife. What I should have done is I should have just applied it the way I needed to get it applied, and then gone back with an X-Acto knife and taken off what I didn't need. So I've got my X-Acto knife. So let's do that. Let's just peel off the backing. Now that I've butchered the top, I got to go higher on this thing that I really want to. All right. Okay, so do it again. All right, that's better. That'll have to do. Take the X-Acto knife and go around the edges, trimming off the excess. I don't carry a pocket knife normally, and everybody I know at work does. And there have been a few situations where I've had to turn to them and say, "Can I borrow your pocket knife?" Oh. Come on, artwork, cooperate. Just don't hit my finger. I need that finger. There we go. All right. It is what it is. I might have a little bit of bleed through, but we'll see. We'll see if I recovered sufficiently. All right. Now let's get to the build. All right, we're going to start with the base and our rubber feet. That would be step, well, we did step 1, which is unpacking, and then we did step 2, which is all the artwork. I only need the feet. I don't need the ball tops or the spare parts. Applying the rubber feet. I need to get another USB power supply. So either the Coke machine or the Pepsi machine or the 7-Up machine. Probably Pepsi, because I connect these to the USB power chargers. Right now, several of them are connected to the change machine from New Wave Toys. All right. Okay, so step 3 complete. Now we're moving on to step 4 with the wire at the rear right. All right, so the arrow points to the front. There's an arrow on here for part number K1. Arrow's pointing front. And it wants the wire on the rear right. Then we're gonna, let's see, we're gonna use the battery strap, which is part number K2. And we're going to do our first screw job. Got my mini toolkit here. Those are the 2 I'll use. And I'm going to use 2 M3 by 8 millimeters. So let's get our screw kit. Where is it? There it is. So I need M3 by 8 millimeter, and that would be S6. So these parts are all labeled. And there it is, S6. Trying to adjust the camera angle as I go along here. So we're securing the battery to the base. Yeah, that's not tight. All right, so the battery's in the base. Step 4 complete. Now we're going to work on the screen. So place a clean soft cloth or towel on a flat work surface. Remove the protective film from the screen and set face down with the DSI connector positioned at the top. All right, so here's our little monitor. Gonna kind of get it, guide it out of here. There we go. There's a protective piece on it, so we'll peel that off. And there's our monitor. The DSI connector is at the top. All right, so we need, let's see, attach the screen mount F2. That would be this piece right here. To the screen with 4 screws. The part number F2 is on the left side. So you just kind of slide that over, and there's screw holes that it's got to match up with. All right, and we need part number S3, those screws. So we're going to attach this with these screws, 4 screws. All right, so part F2 is now attached to the monitor. Step 5 is complete. Step 6, with the overhang at the top, secure the screen bezel to the screen mount. So here's our bezel. And we're going to put the overhang at the top. Actually, no, it goes the other way. Whoops. There we go. So basically, you're putting the bezel over the monitor. And we need part number S4. I'm done with the scissors. Those can go away. Part number S4, M2.3 by 6 millimeter screws. Everything really labeled really well with the Build-A-Cade. And we're going to use 4 screws. One in each corner. I would be interested in seeing what Retro Lizard has coming. I'd like to see that twin stick arcade. All right, so the bezel is now attached. Step 6 complete. Step 7, now we're going to do the standoffs. There's 2 sizes of standoffs. We want the 10 millimeter ones, which are the smaller ones. So there's 4 holes for the standoffs on the back of the monitor. So we're going to use the smaller ones. And these just have to be hand tightened. You don't really need to get a tool out to tighten them. Okay. Step 7 complete. Moving right along. Step 8. So DSI connector. So it wants us to pre-attach the DSI cable. Now it's saying gently lift up the latch on the screen. This is what tripped me up in my first build. Okay. And I've gotten better ever since, but this DSI connector, all it does is pull straight up just a hair, enough to allow you to slip the cable in. Now it's saying with the blue side facing towards the top, and I find these DSI connector, that's not blue to me, that's black. So that's what I've been doing. So you slide it in there, put it down as far as it'll go, and then with both thumbs, with both thumbs you press down until it clicks into place, and then your DSI cable is locked into place there. Now where I got tripped up is the DSI connector. I'm not familiar with the DSI connector when I did my first build. So I wound up trying to flip this down and I broke it off. So lessons learned. And I realize you guys didn't get a good view of that, me putting the DSI cable in, but I'll show you. You can see the DSI connector. The black is facing upward and away. The contacts you'll see on this side, and you just shove them down and then clamp it down on either side. So, all right, so that's in. Now we're going to attach the Raspberry Pi, and we're using a Raspberry Pi 3B. There's our Raspberry Pi. I love these little things. I mean, they do so much. You can have them do so much. This could run my camera security system if I chose to use that. All right, so now we're on to step 8 was attaching the DSI cable. We're done with that. Step 9. It wants us to enter put the SD card extension cable on the Raspberry Pi. So here's the Raspberry Pi extension cable. This part will attach to the back. This is the part that goes into the Raspberry Pi. And there's our SD card port on the bottom of the Raspberry Pi. Shove it all the way in. And now we get to attach the Raspberry Pi using the longer standoffs, the 20 millimeter standoffs, to the 10 millimeter standoffs. And you got to kind of work this cable over a little bit so as not to impinge the DSI cable. It gets a little tricky working in the tight space. You just got to be careful of those cables at all times. Don't crimp them, because I did wind up damaging one of my SD card extension cables. I had to order a couple more from Glenn. I have one spare in stock in case I need it. All right, so we've secured the Raspberry Pi to the back of the monitor. All right, now we're going to connect. Now we're going to work, kind of gently guide the SD card extension over. And then we're going to connect the other end of the DSI cable to the Raspberry Pi DSI connector. And why is this fighting me? There it goes. There. So I've lifted the DSI connector. I'm going to try to move this hand. So I've lifted the black piece of the DSI connector up, which opens up the side that I need to put the DSI connector in. You just need to slide that into the open gap, which there's like a piece of tape on there on the connector. Weird. You got to be very careful with this cable. Any ribbon cable, you got to be careful with that you don't bend it. And just slide it down as far as it'll go, and then snap it into place. Now your DSI cable is connected from the Pi to the monitor, and you've got your SD card extension here. All right. So that was step 10. Step 11, we want to plug in all the side-mounted cables into the Raspberry Pi, the power, the HDMI, and audio. All right, these are our connectors over here. So let's get everything connected. Here's our HDMI. So we've connected our HDMI, and we're going to get the other cables out of the bag here. This cable we're not going to use, which is for a Raspberry Pi 4, if that's what you're using. We're not using a Raspberry Pi 4, so that gets set off to the side. So we have our audio cable here, which goes into the audio port. And then this will be our Raspberry Pi 3 power cable. So we've got our audio cable extension in here. We've got our HDMI extension here. And then we've got our Raspberry Pi power here. Okay. Now it wants us to attach the wiring harness. That would be step 12. And pin 40 is all the way at the bottom towards the USB connections. All right, so we kind of unwind the cable here. And there's a cable marked pin 40 on this one. It's purple. And pin 40, as we know, via the diagram on the Raspberry Pi 3 is towards the USB connection. So we're going to mount this GPIO cable and slide it down all the way. So our wiring harness is now connected to the Raspberry Pi. So again, we've got our audio cables, we've got our DSI ribbon cable, we've got our SD card extension, and then our ribbon cable. Okay, now we're ready to start really the meat of this thing. Lay down a side panel. In this case, it would be left side A, and it's labeled A. And then we want to insert the screen assembly, which we just put together. Putting smudges on the monitor. All right. And it just, I mean, the stuff is very well cut. I mean, the grooves, everything just kind of fits together, which is really nice. So we've got the monitor assembly in. Maybe I'll back out the camera angle a little bit now. Guys, remember to hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. All right, that's step 13, putting the monitor assembly in. Step 14 is to assemble the marquee. So we'll need our marquee pieces. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Shit. There's a, damn it. There's a protective piece on either side of the marquee that I didn't take off. And I put the, oh man, I hope this goes back on okay. Kind of makes me wonder if I did that on my other builds. Come on. Oh, I bet it's on here. I may have borked my Robotron artwork. Shit. Damn it. Should have just left well enough alone. Live TV, folks, screwing it up. So what's happened is the backing or the protective coating that was on the marquee piece has come off on the back of the Robotron marquee artwork. And now it won't stick to it. So I got to see if I can peel it off. Where's my X-Acto knife? Maybe that'll help. Screwed it up, man. Screwed the pooch. It's moving along too fast. So guys, remember this. Remember to always remove the, before you apply your artwork on the marquee, oh, it's almost there. Almost. Almost. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. Man, I've got it. I've got it peeled away enough. I can't grab it. Well, if I get this done, man. There it goes. Oh, yeah, got it. You're right, Stock Jock. Now, try not to be quick about this. All right, see, what I'm peeling away is the acrylic marquee protector from the marquee, which I fucking forgot to take off. Excuse my French. And now we got to put this marquee back on. All right. Crisis averted. Wow. All right, now let's put the marquee assembly. So that piece goes there. And then the top part of the marquee fits there. And then you just slide the marquee in. All right, so there's our Robotron marquee. That was step 14, which took longer than expected. Step 15. So we're going to do the control panel now. Plug the 14-pin connector from the wiring harness into the control panel assembly, and then set the control panel into place. So we need the 14. I lost one of my joystick. This is why you don't put them on right away, because they will fall off during assembly. There we go. All right, so I need the 14-pin connector, which is this. Snaps right into place. So the 14-pin connector from the ribbon cable. And then we'll just put the control panel in. Snaps right there and nice and neat. All right, that's step 15. Then we want to set the front into position. That's the kick, I call it the kick plate. It kind of snaps into place there. All right, now we're going to do the plastic bezel piece. We got to peel the protective paper off of it. Wow, it didn't have... Oh, it does. There we go. And that slides right in. You get it the right way first. There we go. So our plastic piece is in. That was step 17. So step 18 is to, now we're going to add the other piece, the side panel. Now the question is did my monitor assembly go in? Yes. All right, now the next thing after step 18 was to put the other side panel on. Step 19 is to put the top on to secure it, but I'm not going to do the top first. I'm going to put the bottom piece on because it's just easier. So the rebel in me is going against the directions. You slide that piece and lock it in. No, I'm not in. All right, so the bottom piece is now in, and that's holding the two side panels in together. Just making sure there's no loose pieces. But step 19 actually is to put the top on. And so that's the hardest part, getting that worked in. So let's work on getting the top part in, which is this. Arrow on the piece to the top or to the front. And I struggle with this piece all the time because what you wind up with is like a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch gap that you can't get past. You got to kind of work. This is the reason why I put the base in, so I can stand it up and work with it. So just trying to get that gap out. All right, Robot Ron, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. So what kind of magic is this? One side goes, but the other side doesn't. And you don't want to really force it because it just gets warped and then you... And I am in the groove. Both sides. Nope, not that side. Boy. Come on, man. There's got to be a science to this or something that I'm missing. I just keep working it and then it eventually goes into place. But there's got to be something you got to look out for. I think this is the most frustrating part of the install for me. This top piece. I dread getting to it all the time. Marquee is set correctly. So one side goes and then what the heck? This one's fighting me today. Oh. Now the marquee is out. Maybe that's my issue. I'm not totally seated there. No. Because if you wiggle it one way, it goes in on one side, but it doesn't go in on the other. Oh, I don't know, Stock Jock, if I want to use a hammer on this thing. Let's see, I mean, see, I can do one side here, but the other side is just hard stopped at something. I know there's a method to this madness. There has to be. Oh boy. Got that side, but this side does not want to go. Frustrating. If you've seen my previous builds, you've seen me get to this point and like, sometimes it'll go right away. Sometimes it takes some real work to get this piece in. I don't know why that is either. One side goes real easy, the other side doesn't. Then I can switch it to the other side, and then the other side doesn't go in. It's got something to do with the marquee. Ugh. There it is. See what I mean? It's got something to do with the alignment of the marquee. It has to be. It has to be. But now it's in. Oh, man. That can get really frustrating. All right. Moving right along. I already put that. That was step 19. We already did step 20, which was to put the base in. We did that. All right, now we need to find the 2-pin. We're going to do the marquee light. So we got to run the 2-pin connector, which is this. I have to run the 2-pin connector up through this little marquee plate here. Here's the marquee. So the marquee light. So we need to run the 2-pin connector up through this hole and then connect it to the connector on the LED light. So we have this assembly complete, and now there's a slot for that right on the back. You just kind of slot it right in, and there's your marquee light. Boom. That's done. And that was step 21. And now step 22 is we're going to move all this wiring aside. And we're going to put in the middle brace. I call it a brace. And the arrow goes towards the front of the cabinet. And there's a slot for it right here. So you got to kind of move. You got to lift the cable assembly as well so that you can get it, it'll set right over it. So there's a groove here for this. And you just need to slide it in. Make sure your harness is going to go over it, over that back end. And just let the cable drop. All right, so that middle brace is in. All of our cables are up over it. That's good. All right, now we're going to insert the USB extensions. So here's our USB extensions. We got our 2 USB ports. This goes to the back panel. All right, I always use the bottom 2, but you could use the top 2 ports if you want, but it's just for ease of use, reachability. You just want to connect them to the bottom 2. That's what I do. And be very careful about not crimping wires here. All right, so my USB extension, either side, doesn't matter which one's which. I put them in the bottom USB ports on the Raspberry Pi. So if you can see them there. Let's see if I could turn this a little bit so you can kind of see the ports in there. All right, so the USB extension is in. Now I'm doing the coin door. So we got to find our coin door port, which is this one. This is the white one. And we want to stick this cable through the opening. And then we'll attach the, make sure you get the coin door up the right side. And then you want to attach the cable to the coin door. And then to snap this into place, you want to pull the headphone jack port out all the way so there's no excess on the other side, and then you want to snap this into place. And then we're going to snap the coin door in. Buttons work pretty good. We can put that back in. Say that was step 24. Step 25. Step 24 and 25. Connect the coin door and then snap it into place. Step 26. Now we get to the meat. This cabinet is starting to take shape. You can kind of see that. So now we're going to start making our connections to the back panel. I don't know where that rubber band came from. Now in step 26, it wants us to attach the HDMI cable. So here's our HDMI extension cable. It's going to fit actually, no, we're doing the SD card extension first. So let's do that. So here's the other end of our SD card extension. There's only really one way it goes. Turn it this way so you guys can get a better view. And we're going to use two S4 screws. Oh, I struggled with this too last time. I need my headlamp. I can't see a bloody thing. All right. Working with tiny screws is difficult. It really is. And I don't have that, you know, my hands are not that big. See, it's hard to guide these screws in when one side of it wants to come up. You can sense the frustration building. There, you just gotta kind of guide it with the screwdriver. That's a chore. Okay. So our SD card connector is connected. Now we want to do the HDMI port. Okay. This is where it gets kind of tricky. Now the screws for the HDMI port go on the outside. And which screws do we need? We need S5 screws. Right here. Those would be the M3 by 8mm screws. I believe these are the same screws that'll put the back panel to the unit. And we're going to attach the HDMI cable, and then we're going to screw it in. That one's easier because the screws are bigger. Yeah, Zero, I hope so. Robotron is such a cool game. One of my favorites. All right, HDMI cable is in. That's step 27. Now we want to connect the audio cable to the audio jack. So we'll find our audio extension cable. It's one of these cables. It's right here. Here's our audio extension. So that will go, I'm going to do it here. So that goes into the audio port. Now we want to plug the USB power cable into the USB power. Okay, we need to attach several cables here. So we'll start with the wiring harness. So here's the wiring harness cable. And this starts to be a mishmash of wires after a while. But so the wiring harness cable connector goes into the back panel. And it only goes one way. Snap that into place. The USB power cable goes into the USB port. So this would be the power to the Raspberry Pi. I got to flip that cable around and stick it in there. This is all documented really well. And then the USB extension cable, which is this one, goes right here. Got to twist it around. You and me both, Stock Jack. I mean, I don't know how many quarters I spent on this game. All right, so those three connections are made. Now I got to make sure the main power is off, and it is. And then I'm going to make the battery connection, which is the last port that I have anything to connect to. I'm going to run it differently. There. All right. Now we put the back on. We have to carefully arrange this mishmash of wires. Press them in. Make sure nothing gets crimped. Just got to kind of press it in. And then we're going to start putting cables or screws in. We're almost done here, folks. Now, the SD card image that I'm going to use to boot this up is my standard image, but it's going to boot up into another game. Like I'm going to go grab the, I'll grab the Time Pilot game SD card. But it'll boot into Time Pilot, but I'll change that so that it'll start, auto start Robotron. And hopefully this all works. And hopefully I didn't crimp a cable. Hey, Ted, welcome back. This is looking good. All right. There she is, folks. She's built. A few specks of dust there. Now let's put our ball tops back on. There we go. There's the side, front, and then the other side. So let's power this thing up, eh? I got to get an SD card, right? And I'll plug in this cable here. I bought off Amazon. Later, I can put a link in the description, but it's an AC adapter with an inline power button. So you can cut power using this, or you can cut power using the actual device. I usually turn it off at the device and then turn it off here, turn it on here, then turn it on at the device. Now, I'll use these up until I attach it to my USB power supply or charger, like the change machine from New Wave Toys. So it'll be like a USB-C to USB-A connection or USB-C, depending on what available port I have. So, but for now, for today's purposes, I'm just going to use an AC power. And it's a USB-C to AC. So let's find me some power, eh? I'm going to use the same outlet that's powering my camera right now. And the red light is on, saying it's charging. I need my SD card. So let me grab the SD card out of one of these other Build-A-Cades. All right, so I'm taking the SD card out of my Time Pilot. I'm going to stick it in here into the Robotron. So I'm going to turn off the light here. Let's power it up, eh? Here, let me turn this one off too. All right, that's better. So let's see. Let's turn it on. That don't sound good. I'm getting a humming from the something. Game on. Oh, there it is. Either I don't have the audio connection done right. You hear that humming, guys? So it's going to boot in a Time Pilot. But we'll fix that. Got our menu, my image menu, dual joystick, 7 games available. And Robotron. Oh, that humming is bothering me. Now, granted, this is a small screen, so, you know, your mileage may vary on your skill level. Ah, I got to fix that hum. I didn't even get the high score. Ah. I'm playing kind of awkward here too, just so you guys can see. Ah! And really the point of I mean, for me, these are displays, but you know, you can hook an HDMI cable up and play this on your full screen. I made the board. All right. I'm going to shut her down. All right, now I need to see if I can fix that humming noise. It might be a loose cable. That was one of my first builds of these. So if you just search GRS on, I can find it for you in a little bit, but the very first build I did live streamed, I went through the process of loading games. That would be the Karate Champ. I think it's the Karate Champ build, Stock Jock. You can kind of locate that video and then skip through it until you get to the part at the end where I go through the SD card load. It's real simple though, Stock Jock. I mean, once it's connected to your Wi-Fi, all you do is, if you're a Windows user, is you open up a Windows Explorer and then navigate to // I forget what the name of the box is. Or if you know the IP address of the box, you can go by / IP address. All right, let's look at our connections here. I'm just looking at my audio connection. And I've done and did it. All right, I reseated that connection. Let's reseat the power cable. That sounds better. So I reseated the audio cable. I'm going to keep it on while I put the back panel back on. Stock Jock, if you hang around, I'll pull that up just so you see. So I've fixed the audio issue. I apparently had some sort of audio short going on or something, and reseating the cable helped. And of course, Time Pilot auto-loaded, so you hear the Time Pilot attract mode. What bothers me about Robotron is there's no attract mode audio, unless there's a setting within the game that I need to set. But I wish Robotron had attract mode audio. All right. And again, we're running Time Pilot on here. To exit a game that's loaded already, Stock Jock, you'll probably want to know this. is you press in the left coin door button and then player 1 at the same time. And that kills the game and goes back out to the pie menu. So I'll go back down to dual joysticks, hit the A button to go in. And other 2-stick games, I have Karate Champ on here. Again, I use a common image for all of my Build-A-Cades. So Crazy Climber, Karate Champ, Kroll. I got Smash TV on there as well. But Robotron is my marquee game for this one. And we'll hit the A button to load it. So okay, so now that I've fixed the audio issue, I'll show you how to find the IP address. We got to exit the Robotron game. So let's do that. And then we'll go to oh, wait a minute, no. We need to back out of here. And to back out of the menu, you hit the player 2 start. We need to go in here to options. No, select options. We have to press A. So down here in this menu, there is an option that basically says show IP. So we hit show IP, and it's going to basically go into the setup screen. And so my IP address is 192.168.1.9. Okay, 1.9. So we'll remember that. And of course, there we go. All right, so we're back at the menu now. I'll go back to dual joystick games. And back into Robotron. Okay, so that's going to reload Robotron. So I got my IP address. I'll bring, oh, shit. Tripping over myself here. Bring my chair back over. Okay. So we have our Build-A-Cade there. There's my other views of the room. So, okay. Let me go. What view do I want? Cell phone and desk cam. Yeah, see. I'm editing my okay, so all right, let me share. Bring up. I'm going to share a screen here. Let me share screen, entire screen. We'll do screen 2. All right. So here's my screen. I'm going to open Windows Explorer. I gotta go grab it from over here. There it is. I apologize for the unreadability. I'll try to make it a little bigger. Okay, so I wonder if I could see it on the network. No. I forget what the name of it was on the network, but I can't use it anyway because I have multiple Build-A-Cades and I never renamed. Oh, is it RetroPie? No, it's not. So what you can do you just browse to that Build-A-Cade. So we identified that the IP address is 192.168.1.9. It's up. Oh, it wants me to log in. And the default password for RetroPie on the Build-A-Cades for a Raspberry Pi is username is Pi, password Raspberry. There we go. Let me see if I can make this bigger. This is just bothering the hell out of me. How do I do that? How do I do that? Oh, I don't know if I can get it any bigger than that, guys. All right, so squint really, really hard. So I've browsed to / 192.168.1.9, and I got that IP address from doing the show IP option under options on the Build-A-Cade card. Okay, so this is your Build-A-Cade. These are folders on your Build-A-Cade. Okay, so the folder that you want to drop ROMs is the ROMs folder. You double click on that, and then you have all of your systems, all your cores where your ROMs would go. Now on the Build-A-Cade, the way it's configured, all the ROMs go in the arcade folder. Here, I'll drill down into it, and here's all the ROMs. So you just drop your zip file in there. So the folder would be your IP address /ROMs / arcade. So we'll go. So again, ROMs go here. Now, if we go back up to the Build-A-Cade menu, or the Build-A-Cade root folder, and let's say I want to change this SD card so that it automatically boots to Robotron. First of all, I need to know the name of the ROM. It's just Robotron. Okay, so we'll go back, and then we're going to go into configs under the all folder, and then there's a script file called autostart.sh that we want to edit. So I'll click Edit in Notepad, and there's just one line in there. I realize it's really small, and you probably can't see it. I apologize. I just don't know how to make that bigger for you. But we'll scroll over. What we're going to do is simply change. Right now, if you can see this, what it says is it's going to auto load Time Pilot, but we don't want it to do that. We want it to reload or load Robotron automatically. So we'll change that to Robotron. We'll save it, close it. Uh-oh. It's not responding anymore. Still on. I can see the Robotron. It's still on. Oh man, why is it doing that? I hope it saved it. Let's go back. Oh, there it goes. So it did save it. Okay. Save it again just to make sure. Then we'll go back. All right. So yeah, that one folder, that ROMs / arcade folder is what you need for the Raspberry Pi version of the OS. I've not worked with a Viper yet, so it's going to be somewhat similar, but yeah. So we're going to exit out of this instance of Robotron. And then we're going to shut it down. Actually, we're just going to do a restart. Restart system. Really restart? Yes. Okay, so now we're rebooting, and it should boot straight into Robotron. I love that logo that Glenn has. And boom, goes straight into Robotron. Looking good. All right. Well, that went well. We're only at 3 hours and 15 minutes. Oh, man, folks. Turn this a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things that are kind of bothersome, like that top. Figuring out the secret of getting that top piece in, it always stumps me. So, yeah. So things I'm going to do after the stream here, I'm going to go up and make another image, SD card image. I'm going to burn another one, and then I'm going to make that my time pilot. I'm going to just leave Robotron in with the time pilot card in it, and then I'll make another image and put that in the time pilot and get that back up and running. But it's going to move over to my Build-A-Cade. You can see the time pilot on the end there is now off because I took the SD card brain out of it. So, anywho, that's all I got for today, folks. We talked about some stuff and said hi to everybody and did a build. So you all voted. You voted for Robotron. We did Robotron. So the only other artwork I have in-house is Frogger. I'll probably do that next week with the Viper board. So if you want to see me fumble through the Viper installation, first time install, feel free to tag along for the ride. I love each and every one of you who stop by and visit. it warms my heart that people find my content interesting and want to stick around and watch it. So, um, again, no full arcade purchases in the near future unless something comes along that's just an incredible deal. I don't anticipate building any 3/4 size arcades for a while. So we're going to stick to the Build-A-Cades and mods for now. I do have one thing I didn't talk about is one of the things I bought when the 30% off sale was going on with GRS is I bought the Tron stick. So I may replace the existing Tron stick at some point. That'll be a mod, or I may hold on to it for a Gorf build. We'll see. We'll see which way the spirit moves me. So, but I wanted to take advantage of the sale he had going on. So hope you all did too and got some neat toys to play with in the future. I'm very appreciative of Glenn and what he's done for the community so far to date and what's coming. So thank you, Glenn, again, for creating such a nice product. And thank you all for being here and hanging out with me today. I'm hungry. I'm going to go get something to eat. And I'm probably going to chill with the gal for a while on the couch. So, guys, like I say each and every week, have a great week, a safe week. Those of you that are going to get hit with snow, be safe, drive safely. And I will see you next week, guys. And always remember, I got next.